Hi guys, it's Paula here. Welcome to today's video. So I realized at the beginning of this year that I don't read as diversely as I would like to. I feel like sometimes if you are on booktube or booktalk, you can get a little bit stuck when it comes to book recommendations. Sometimes there are very famous, very successful authors out there, and I feel like that reflects on the people who are on booktalk or booktube. So at some point you always are getting the same type of recommendations depending on who you're looking and stuff. And I realized that I mostly follow white female booktalkers and booktubers, and I want to branch myself out a little bit. I am so for diversity, and I think it's so important to read from other points of view, that being from people that are different to me when it comes to gender, race, sexual orientation. So this week I'm gonna be reading some books that are on my physical TBR, but they're gonna be specifically books written by Black authors, because I feel like I do own a lot of books by Black authors, but I have not reached out to them and read them. So that is what we're gonna do. I definitely want to add more diversity to what I read. So this might be a series of reading books by different types of authors, and I'm very excited about that. I'm also picking a couple of different genres because I feel like that's gonna be even more interesting. So today's Monday, and I feel like I'm gonna start with one book that I've been meaning to read since it came out 2 or 3 months ago. And this one is a sci-fi / fantasy book, and that is The Principle of Moments by Esme Yikemi Person. Bestie, I hope I'm saying that right. But yeah, I actually follow her on TikTok, and I really liked her content, and I was so happy to see that she published her book. Unfortunately, I do not know much about it, which if you've seen other videos in my channel, pretty on brand. I never know what I'm getting myself into. All I know is that she described it a little bit like Treasure Planet, the Disney movie, and I know, like my brain knows that movie was a complete failure from Disney when it comes to like money, but my heart will never accept that, because that movie is amazing. It's great. If that movie has no fans, that's because I'm dead. So yeah, I heard that and I was like, I'm gonna get it. I am gonna get it. So yeah. Also, I know that she talked a lot about writing her book and how growing up she didn't have that kind of representation. So I'm so excited that she grew up to, you know, push that representation forward. I love that so much. I think like there's also oh, my book is signed. But yeah, there's this okay, so I thought there was a dedication, but this book actually has like a whole like author's note. So yeah, I am very excited to start this. I know that this is a chunky one. It has like 500 pages, so we'll see how that goes. As I said last week, I think, I do not like reading books with their dust jacket, so I'm gonna take it off. I mean, it's still as beautiful without it, so it's cool. It's cool. I also just got from the Libby library Finding Me by Viola Davis, which is Viola Davis' like memoir, and it's actually an audiobook, and I have 2 weeks to read that, so I think I'm gonna read it this week too. Hopefully I can like balance reading these on the physical book, and then when I'm doing like homework or work or like editing, maybe I can put that one. So yeah, I'm very excited. Once again, welcome to the vlog. I hope you stay. Okay, so it's the next day, it's Tuesday, and yesterday I finished reading part 1 of The Principle of Moments. So I am in page 115, I think, so I'm about to start part 2. So far it is I think mostly confusing because the story overlapped with some like text from like this prophecy from years ago. But obviously, since it's a prophecy and we're not supposed to know what's happening, but we're like at the end of the prophecy, like the last part. People have failed already, and there's like the very last chance for this prophecy to complete. I think we're following our main character Asha. She lives in this like planet in this timeline like 6066 where humans are basically enslaved, and all of these like planets in the future are ruled by this very ruthless dictator. And there's also kind of like a dual timeline because we read also from our other main character, Obi, in 1812, I believe, and he can kind of like time travel, which I mean, it does match the whole science fiction vibe. But then there's like kings in the story, so it's like a weird mix, and right now it's mostly confusing, but we've gotten to the point where Obi and Asha meet. I am actually very curious to see how this keeps going, because while we're reading we keep getting like glimpses of like the prophecy and what happened before. Hopefully today I can reach part 3, but I don't think so, because like part 3 is like by the end of the book, but we'll see.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of water under the bridge.
Some of the old songs.
Yes, ma'am.
Yesterday I read quite a lot. Like I think I read around like 200 pages, so I did not reach part 3. Honestly, I feel like that's just the very last of the book, so that's fine. I got to page 358, so chapter 29. I feel like we now have all of the main characters, which is great, and they are together, so we're seeing like how their relationships and like how the plot is moving forward. Because I feel like now the prophecy is making more sense as things keep happening, which is great because I was very confused at the beginning of this book. We've also been introduced to the villain, I guess. So I feel like right now this book or this like storyline has 2 villains, which is fun because one of them is from afar like attacking this one timeline, and the other one is like attacking the other timeline in like a more personal, like face-to-face way. So we've gotten to meet that villain and not the other one. This might sound confusing. I'm just really trying to explain this book without giving too many spoilers. Also, I thought that since Obi had left his original timeline that he was in to go on with Asha, I felt like that storyline, like that timeline was just gonna stay there, and it was just there for like Obi's background info. But that storyline kept moving forward, and at first I was very confused as to why are we following this one character in this timeline when I don't, because it didn't feel like it added anything to the plot. And then more slowly with the appearance of the second villain, it made much more sense, which is good, because honestly at the beginning I thought it was kind of unnecessary, because I mean I liked the character but it was not doing anything useful for the plot. But now after reading more, yes, there is a main reason. So yeah, so far I'm really liking Asha and Obi's like brother-sister relationship. I think that's very cute. And another character appeared, and that's Xavier, and I very much like Xavier. I think he's very fun. I hope that, I mean, we don't have much of the book left, but I hope they keep delving more into him, because like they have talked about his story and everything, but I don't know, I just feel like I need maybe a little bit more to connect with him. I think the book is very fun so far because there's just so many elements, but they kind of work together. I'm hoping today I can finish this because, as I said, there's just a little bit left. I think I may have like 150 pages, and given that yesterday I read like 200, I think I can do that again today. Also, I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of later in the day. That's because I usually go to the gym in the mornings. And why am I talking about the gym? because I've been listening to the audiobook for Finding Me by Viola Davis. I think I've heard like 3 hours of it. Maybe, I don't know what percentage that is, I'll check later, but basically she's just been talking about her childhood. This memoir can be very, very triggering for a lot of people. Just talking about like childhood abuse, sexual abuse, racism. It is very heavy, and I think it's wild, honestly, because it just comes from such a different perspective to hear about that, especially since it's obviously written by Viola Davis, but it's also narrated by her, so she's just telling it like if it was a story or a podcast. Like, she's also giving like voices and everything, so it's very entertaining that way. But it's very heartbreaking to hear about her talk about her childhood, especially her relationship with her parents and just like all of the abuse that she suffered. But yeah, I'm still in her childhood teen years. We'll see how that goes. The thing is, I do not like just sitting and listening to audiobooks. I don't know why, I cannot concentrate on them, so that means that I have to do something while listening. So usually I either put it in the car while I'm driving, or I put it in my headphones while I'm at the gym, which means there is no footage of me listening to this book, because I obviously not gonna record myself in the car, that's dangerous, and also I'm not gonna record myself at the gym. That feels very humbling. I don't need that kind of like attack on my person. I don't need to show that in the internet. So yeah, I guess it's gonna be like kind of like updates, but no actual recording of me listening to it. Since this morning I listened to Finding Me, I think I'm just gonna focus the whole like rest of the evening and night to the principle of moments. Hi everyone, so today is Thursday, and yesterday I finished The Principle of Moments by SMG person. I actually really liked it. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much because at the beginning it was very confusing, and I'm not a big science fiction reader, so yeah, I was very apprehensive, but I really liked it. I do have to say, when I got it with the Illumicrate subscription box, I did not think it was gonna be like a trilogy / series, but then I opened it and it said like book 1. So of course it was no surprise when the end of the book was quite open. There wasn't any like big cliffhanger, but there's still quite a lot of questions that we don't have the answers for, and also you can tell that our heroes are not done with their journey. So, and I think I would actually read the second one because I enjoyed it very much. Yeah, hopefully Illumicrate will keep doing the special editions so I can have like the 3 in the same editions. I say 3 because I think it's gonna be a trilogy, but I'm not sure. For some reason I read the author's note after reading the book. No idea why, but it was actually very beautiful. The author described this book as a miracle, and it was so beautiful how she just like explained why. There's like this one paragraph that I really liked, so I'm gonna tell you because I feel like it should be heard. This book is less of an anomaly now, and if you enjoy this one, even if you don't, I hope you'll go to your closest bookshop and treat yourself to some other miracles, written by Black British authors and Black authors from around the world. There are so many brilliant pieces of fiction out there, each one not only a delight, but a call to arms for a better, more equal future. To my brilliant, beautiful Black girls, this one's all for you. I don't know, I just thought that was so beautiful. And yeah, I just feel like I'm so happy that this little miracle ended up in so many good hands, because yeah, I hope people read it and like it as much as I did. And now I feel like it was a very long book. It was like 500 pages. It took me like 3 days to finish. So now I feel like something light, something like a romance perhaps. So I had a book in mind to read now, and that is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emesi. I don't know, I have not heard many things about this book. I feel like what I've heard is that it's messy. Not as in like messily written, but it's like the plot of this is messy as hell. All I know is that this girl, well, this woman, goes into a kind of vacation or like sunny trip or something like that, and she falls with someone that she shouldn't, kind of like a forbidden type thing. I don't know, that's all the synopsis said, so let's see how it goes.
It's been a long time.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of water under the bridge.
Some of the old songs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so little update. I reached page 83, which is chapter 7. Look at how cute my bookmark looks. I'm starting to see where this is gonna get messy. Okay, so basically the story follows Faye, which I think that's how you pronounce her name, Faye. Anyway, so this is about Faye. Her husband passed away some time ago in an accident in which they were both, and she survived, but he didn't. So she's dealing with a lot of grief, and it's been like, what, 5 years, I think. So she's ready to start like maybe potentially dating again. So she starts seeing this guy, just kind of like very casual. And while she's seeing that guy very casually, no like strings, nothing, she meets his friend. And like there's something going on there, so she like breaks things off with the guy. And then after a while she starts kind of seeing his friend, but they're not seeing, they're more like friends. I feel like I'm doing this a lot. Yeah, also I'm trying not to spoiler things. But yeah, and then that guy, the one that was friends with the first guy, he invited her to go to the islands where he grew up, and he gave her some job opportunity, and it was very nice, and they're gonna stay with his family. So that's like the vacation that the book, like the synopsis, was talking about. So I've gotten to the point where she just got to the islands, and I think she met the man that she's gonna fall for. I hope not, but it looks like it's gonna be, and it looks okay, not entirely disturbing, but kind of weird, but weird. So yeah, I think that's all I can read for today, but hopefully I can spend all day tomorrow reading. Hi there, different day. I finished very early this morning the last like chapter of You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emesi. I do not know what to think about this book. Honestly, it was just a very wild ride. I feel like I'm gonna have to think a little bit on the rating, because this story, this romance, and the circumstances in which this romance occurs is just so messy. like very messy. Like if this was happening in real life, shocked. I would be shocked. Writing this book, I feel like it's gonna be hard just because I liked the romance. I thought the romance was very cute. I loved how these two characters bonded over their grief. They have like the same type of grief, more or less. They both lost someone they loved in a very sudden, violent way. And just the way they talk about it and how they talk about their feelings and how this has affected their lives and how they bond over that and they start, you know, developing feelings through that. That was very cute. But it was, if it had not been the circumstances, because it just, as how things went down here, wild. So it's very hard to root for this couple when it's happening this way. So yeah, I have to sit on this rating and this opinion because I don't know. I genuinely don't know. And now I'm also been listening in the car and gym, Finding Me by Viola Davis. I've gotten quite far along. The last I listened to, she had already begun her actress career. She got a boyfriend, things were like developing, so that's kind of the last that I heard of it. Which, again, because I've gotten to the part where like that relationship ends and it's just, yeah, it's definitely not a happy story. I feel like Viola Davis's life has been definitely very hard, and listening to everything that she has gone through and her relationships with people and how a lot of the patterns that she suffered through childhood kept repeating throughout her teenage years and her adulthood, it definitely breaks your heart a little bit for her. She's definitely an amazing woman and very strong. Since I finished my physical book, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and listen to the audiobook while I'm playing with my Switch, because the other day I finished the the other day I finished the Bratz game. It came out so long ago. I think it came out like 2 years ago, and I got it for Christmas last year, and I played like half of it and then stopped playing. And it's like, well, I want to listen to the audiobook, but I need to do something, so let me play my Switch. So I finished the Bratz game the other day, and now I got the Disney Dreamlight Valley game. And okay, first of all, I'm not a gamer. I never play anything. Like what I've always played on my Switch is Animal Crossing, Bratz, and It Takes Two with my boyfriend, but that's about it. And Dreamlight Valley is so cute. I really liked it so much. I think I like it a little bit more better than Animal Crossing, because Animal Crossing sometimes it makes me not want to play it, because at some point there stops being like little missions or little tasks, so it's very like up to you, and I kind of need instructions and steps when I'm playing something or doing anything, literally. So I really like that in Dreamlight Valley you can just like, you know, personalize things. There's always like a bigger goal and then like smaller missions, so it's very cool. And honestly, the animation is very nice too. There's like some glitches here and there, but I really like the designs, everything. So I think I'm just gonna go listen to Finding Me and play a little bit. Yeah. Hey there. Welcome to the last part of the vlog where I discuss all of the books that I read this week. So basically, just to recap, I dedicated this week to reading books written by Black authors. I think representation matters in and out of the books, so I don't only like to read books that have characters of color or queer characters, but I also like reading by authors of color or of a different sexuality than mine. I think it's very important to read from outside of your perspective. So it just happened that this week was dedicated to Black authors exclusively, because I did have some physical books here that were by Black authors, so that's what we're doing. I started the week with The Principle of Moments by Esme Yukemi Pearson. Honestly, I was a little bit reluctant to read this book just because I'm not a big science fiction girl. Not really. I've heard that this book draws some inspirations on Doctor Who or Treasure Planet, the film by Disney. And I did like Treasure Planet a lot, but Doctor Who was very hard for me to get into. And I generally don't read books that are set in space or that have spaceships. But this book was a combination of a bunch of genres, honestly. It had like the spaceships, like different planets vibes of a science fiction book, but it also had the prophecies, the chosen one, the heroes with swords and shields from like fantasy. And it also has a little bit of like Regency romance, which honestly was weird, and it's a weird combination altogether, but it worked. In my opinion, and for me personally, it just worked very well. It was so interesting, and the genres blend together very nicely. Like, yeah, at some points it was like, what's happening? But it was not in like a bad way. So I think that was very, very cool. I really liked the main characters, Asha and Obi. I feel like they balanced each other very well. I really like their sibling relationship. I thought it was very, very cute, and seeing how Asha slowly starts like trusting him because Asha's a very close person. Just like that little development there was very, very cute. I have to say at the beginning it was very confusing because of the whole prophecy thing. So like we get glimpses of the prophecy, but then we get like the main character's POV in a different timeline after the first part of the prophecies have failed already. So we are learning about the prophecy bit by bit, and we only get to finally understand a little bit of the prophecy as the characters understand it. So we're kind of like as clueless as they are in the book. So honestly, I really, really like this book. I think I'm gonna give it a 4 stars. It was very entertaining. I really liked it. I wanted to like keep picking it up. It is not a 5 just because there was something in the writing that I didn't vibe with that much, and I feel like it was a very descriptive and sometimes confusing writing. Like, I understand being confused with like the prophecy and the timelines, like that can be a little bit too much, but I think my issue was mainly with the writing. I feel like it's a very embellished writing that just does not work for me personally. But I really like the plot, I really like the characters. I don't know what's gonna happen to the characters, especially because at the end of this book they're all separated. So I kind of want to see how she follows up with that in the next book, because this is I don't know if it's a trilogy or if it's a series, but I know this is book 1. So yeah, I am actually very excited, and I do want to keep continuing reading this. I think that for someone that is so young, she did so incredibly well with her first book. So the week started great with that book. It did take me like 3 days, I think, more or less to finish it. It's a longer book, it's like 500 pages or so. And as I said, very heavy like on the world building, because it's just the first book and we need to figure out what's going on with like the planets, the dictatorship, then there's like this time travel and a prophecy. So it's very confusing and very info dumpy, but I think it's needed in a first book of a series. So we'll see how she approaches that in the next books. And then after that, I started a book that's been on my shelf since 2022, I think, so like 2 years ago, and that is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akweke Missy. This one I finished more recently. It's a very weird book, I would say. Straight up, it just starts very shocking. You're like, okay. This book follows Faye as she like falls in love again after her husband passed away. Oh boy. First of all, there's like a weird, it's like a weird map of like the guys that she dates. So like she starts hanging out with this one guy, but then ends up being like friends and a little bit more with like his friend. And then he takes her to the islands with his family, and then she falls for another different guy. So first of all, that's already messy. And then once you figure out who that guy is, messier, like wild. And that's the thing, I just did not like that, or how any of them reacted to the situation. They knew shit was gonna go down, and then they were like shocked and angry that it went down like that. Be so for real. But yeah, so that was very frustrating. And now the thing, apart from that, is the actual couple, if you take away who they are and how they meet, if you take all of that away and you see them as like 2 people dealing with severe grief because they lost someone that they loved in a very similar way, in a very shocking and violent way, and you see how they bond over that and how they support each other through that, and how they're able to like express their feelings and like their guiltiness and everything. It's such a beautiful couple. It's such a beautiful relationship. Like, it makes so much sense that they end up together, and that itself is just, it's beautiful. But then you cannot take out where they are, who they are, and how they met. And that is just, it's a very weird situation. And I think that's the reason I'm gonna give this book a 3.75. Is that a lot of things happen. Also, how any of these characters reacted to the situation, crappy as hell, really bad. And while their relationship that ended up developing was very nice, how it came to be, like that attraction, felt very, very immediate. First, it was like completely physical and out of nowhere attraction, just like, boom, I want him type of thing, which I didn't like. And then it just goes very fast from like, oh my god, I'm lusting over this person, to let's just fuck up our lives for each other type of thing. So yeah, I think overall I'm just gonna give it a 3.75. I do have to say, even though a lot of the parts here I did not enjoy, I couldn't stop reading. Like when you see a car wreck and you just keep watching, like you just need to see shit go down. So I think that's why I was so enthralled in it and why I kept like reading it. But yeah. And then throughout the whole week, while I was in the car editing, going to the gym, and also playing Dreamlike Valley, I listened to the Viola Davis biography. Honestly, I don't tend to rate biographies, memoirs, or like non-fiction books in general. So yeah, this book doesn't have a rating from me, but I do want to share my opinions. And that is that this is a very heavy book. You need to check the trigger warnings. There is a lot of abuse, that being physical, emotional, sexual, from partners, family. It is very triggering. I also mentioned stuff of racism, not mentioned, like the whole book is basically racism, and also classism, poverty. So you just need to be aware of that. Things did start turning around after she talked about her childhood. So whenever she met her now husband, I thought that was very beautiful, how they met and how their relationship kept going from there. It was such a like ray of sunshine from the whole book that was very, very dark for the most part. Also, I do have to say, for me personally, it was also very, very hard to read. Well, to listen to, because just the circumstances in which she said goodbye to her father, like how his passing came to be. And that was very similar to how my mother's passing came to be. So I do have to say that that was probably the most triggering part, where I was like sobbing my eyes out. So yeah, just before going into it, just know that it's a very, very hard read. It's very heart-wrenching. And although it is hopeful too that someone who has gone through so much is in such a good place right now, you know, you just need to pick your battles and figure out if this is a book for you. I don't think I can say anything more about it without crying, so I'm just gonna leave it there. So yeah, these are the 3 books I read this week. I really liked them, and honestly, read more books by Black authors. Like, it is important. Representation is important in and out of the book. So yeah, that is my little grain there. I hope you stayed here till the end. I also hope you like it. If you read any of those books, or if you have any good recommendations on books with diversity, it doesn't have to be just like, you know, Black authors like this book specifically was, but any type of diversity, that being like race or gender or sexual orientation, just let me know, please. I would like to get my hands on and read more of those books. If you like this video, like, subscribe, leave a comment. I would love to hear from you, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.